Hi yogis, it's Courtney from Grand Park. I hope that this time finds you healthy and well. I hope everyone's taking care of themselves and their loved ones and their community. Today I want to touch on a concept that came up last week, and this is the idea of the witnesser, or the witness, not the witnesser, the witness. So yoga talks a lot, the philosophy of yoga talks a lot about yoga being a practice of looking at our habits, at our patterning, and not attaching ourselves to that patterning. So for example, if, say, every night you have a really bad habit of eating a piece of chocolate cake every night. So yoga would say that you are not the person who grabs the chocolate cake, but you're the person that is aware that you're grabbing the chocolate cake. I hope this is making sense. So to take it a little deeper, yoga might be the practice of noticing, say we fall into an argument with a friend or a family member, and it's the same kind of habitual argument. Yoga would ask that we watch ourselves in that argument and see maybe how we might shift the patterning to create a different outcome. And in yoga philosophy, there's a concept, they're called samskaras, and these are these almost like these little impressions, these patterns that we develop. A lot of times they're based on historical things that happen to us. But the idea is to not always default to those patterns. So I thought today in our practice, we could really investigate and use our yoga mat as a mirror to watch ourselves approach the physical practice. And to make sure we're going to set an intention for how we want to show up today. But just to watch yourself in kind of the way that you're approaching practice. And I will bet, and I don't want to assume, but I know in my own experience, the way that you are doing things probably translates to the way that you do them in the real world. So we'll just look at it and see if we can learn anything about our patterning in our physical practice today. Sound okay? Okay. So let's come to find a seat. So seat might be in a chair, seat might be sitting on the floor like I am. See if you can find a place where you can really ground your hips down. And then you can place your hands maybe in your lap, out on your palm or on your thighs, palms up or down. And then I invite you here either to close the eyes or to take a soft gaze at the floor in front of you. And the idea behind that is that we're going inside. So go ahead and come on into yourself. And just notice where you are right now. So notice your body in space. Maybe notice the quality of your thoughts. So where is the mind right now? How does the physical body feel right now? And how is your emotional life right now? So by checking in, we have a little bit more knowledge of maybe how we should set our intention for practice today. Start to come into your breath. And from your little self-check-in, how do you think it would be beneficial to approach yourself on your mat today? So we're all in different places, right? We're all bringing a different body, a different experience, a different morning to our practice. So maybe there's a word that you'd like to practice on your mat today. Maybe it's acceptance. If you tend to be judgmental about what your body is or isn't able to do. Maybe it's kindness if you tend to force yourself through things. And if you don't know, maybe you just set an intention to be curious today, to watch the patterns of how you approach different postures. And it'll teach us a lot about our approach, I think, to almost anything in life. So drawing your hands in a gesture of prayer at your heart, bowing your chin into your chest. So really say your word to yourself. So kindness, curiosity, whatever it is. And if you need a word, I just offer curiosity. So just noticing how you're doing things on your mat. And then from here, we'll find our way to a child's pose. So child's pose is knees wider than the hips. Big toes come together to touch, and then the hips sink back towards the heels. And then the arms can either reach up and overhead, or you can have your hands by your feet. And maybe you get curious and see which way feels better for you today. And we want the hips to feel like they can ground down. We want the forehead to feel like it can ground down. So if the hips are way up, we're not going to judge that. Maybe you put a blanket or something underneath your hips. If the forehead isn't touching, go ahead and stack your fists on one another to give yourself a place to rest your forehead. So we have hips sinking down, forehead sinking down, shoulders are melting away from your ears. And let's establish breath here. So just notice how you're breathing. Or maybe notice that you are breathing. We'll just do a few rounds of controlled breath together. So go ahead and let the breath fall out. And then through your nose, inhale for 2, 3, 4. Little pause at the top. And then through your nose, exhale for 2, 3, 4. Little pause out. Inhale through your nose for 2, 3, 4. Little pause at the top. And then through your nose, exhale for 2, 3, 4. Little pause out. And then choose a breath that's going to support your intention. So if you've chosen kindness, choose a kind breath. If you've chosen curiosity, just get curious about watching the breath come in and out. And then from your breath, inhale to come up to hands and knees. So the knees are stacked underneath the hips, the wrists are stacked underneath the shoulders. If your knees are sensitive, I'd recommend if you have a mat, maybe you double your mat up. If you don't have a mat, you could put a towel or a blanket underneath your knees. Or not, all just suggestions. Let's tuck our toes today, and then we'll just start to get into the feet a little bit here. So the toes are tucked, the heels are up. Send a couple breaths into your feet. And then option to stay with the toes tucked. If it's not feeling so great, you could release the tops of your feet to the earth. We'll come in for several rounds of cat-cow. So getting inquisitive about how we're choosing to move. So notice if you've already started moving. Maybe that pattern shows up in your life, right? Maybe you're always ahead of the game or always kind of like not fully listening. Not calling you out, just calling you out on noticing your patterns. Okay, so inhale, the belly drops, the heart rises. Press into your knuckles. Send your shoulders away from your ears. And then exhale, round everything up and in. Inhale, belly drops, heart rises. Exhale, full breath out, curl your nose to your belly button. 2 more rounds. Inhale, belly drops, heart rises. Exhale, everything curls up and into center. Inhale, belly drops, heart rises. Exhale, curl everything up to center. Find a neutral spine. We'll take the palms, we'll face them the other direction. We're gonna do it mindfully, we're gonna listen to ourselves. So you'll take your fingers to face in towards your knees, and then you'll decide how much pressure to place into the palms. So if it's a lot of stretch, you could just even be on your fingertips. If that's still too much, you can place your hands out to the side. If everything is feeling okay and you can still breathe, maybe you start to put a little bit of pressure into your palms. The toes are still tucked unless that's not right for you. We're going to take a few cat-cows wherever you are here. So even if you're up on fingertips, you can still cat-cow. So we'll inhale, send your belly down, lift your heart tall. And then exhale, round in your upper back. Listen to your body, only move as deep as feels okay. 2 more times. Inhale, belly drops, heart rises. Exhale, curl everything up and in. Listen to yourself. Inhale, belly drops, heart rises. Exhale, everything curls up and in. Let's just take 1 more. Inhale, belly drops, heart rises. Exhale, curl everything up and in. Find your neutral spine. Gently release your palms forward. And then we'll take the palms 1 palm forward from underneath shoulders. We're going to come into the hips a little bit here. So we'll start to make some circles. You can untuck your toes if you need to do that. If you want to keep the toes tucked for like a little extra challenge, you may. And then see if you can really move in your own way. So your circling doesn't have to look like mine. Let your circling be a celebration of your intention. So kindness or curiosity or whatever it is that you're working with today. And notice how you move through your circles. So we're going to circle a little longer than we usually do. Notice what comes up in the mind. Are you like, when are we going to be done with this? Or why are we doing this? Or just noticing and when we get disconnected from the activity by jumping ahead. Take your circles the other way. Maybe noticing the pattern on your non-dominant side and what that feels like. See if you can be with it, whatever's coming up. Unless there's pain, pain's always a sign to stop. Discomfort's always an invitation to stay. And then here we are, back to hands and knees. Let's all tuck the toes. Send your hands a little bit farther forward. So if you don't know where you were, hands underneath shoulders, send your hands a paw print forward. Toes are tucked, and then we'll send the hips up to the sky, downward facing dog. Let your head and your neck be soft. If you don't know if you're holding the head or neck up, maybe you shake it yes and no, side to side, up and down. Let's keep some bend in your knees. Take the weight out of your wrists. So there's no weight in the wrist here. So the weight is being pressed forward into the knuckles. The inner arms are hugging in towards each other. If you still are feeling anything in your wrists, you can always come down to your forearms. Maybe you start to play with pedaling the feet out. So keeping one knee bent, flatten opposite foot. All that I say is a suggestion, so listen to yourself, please. And then from here, come back to center. And then we'll lift the heels up. We're going to take the heels up and over to the right backhand corner of the mat. So this is just a little variation of down dog. Remember, we're pressing the weight forward into the knuckles. Armpits are hugging in. Head is soft. Heart's reaching for those thighs. And then we'll inhale back to lift the heels. And then we'll send the heels on the exhale over to the left. So pressing the weight forward into knuckles. Head is soft and loose. Heart's reaching for thighs. Let your next exhale fall out. And then next inhale will come back to center. Let's walk the hands back to the feet, finding ourselves into a forward fold. So feet are hips distance still. That's about 2 fists. We put as much bend in the knees as we need. We let the head go. You can either grab opposite elbows or fingertips can dangle. Really glue your feet to the earth, and from the stability of the earth, start to roll yourself up one little piece at a time. Really nice. Hands come to the heart. Checking in, just remembering that we are watching ourselves, watching and noticing our patterning on the mat. So we'll do a lot of things that we usually do in class, but I invite you to really watch yourself doing the poses, watching how you approach things, and maybe deciding if there's a different way you'd like to approach those poses. So here we are. Feet and heels come together. We'll sink the hips down and back for our first chair pose. So the hips are reaching down. We can see our toes. If not, we send the hips farther back. Listen to your shoulders. So notice if you're forcing the arms up and it doesn't feel right to do that so early, maybe you take your hands to your hips. See if you can breathe through any discomfort. Again, if there's pain, please come out into a forward fold. If there's discomfort, here's an invitation to watch the pattern of the mind, to watch maybe how we're resisting the pose in the body. One more big, beautiful inhale wherever you are, and then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Let's take the hands down to the earth, finding our way into our first plank pose. So wrists are stacked underneath the shoulders. Then we're lifting up out of the shoulders, so you're pressing down into your knuckles, belly scooping in towards your spine. Now, if this is not right for your body, you can always tap your knees down, and you can still press into the knuckles and find that lift in the shoulders. Wherever you are, how's your breath? And then let's all tap our knees down here. We're going to come into a little side arm balance. So we'll take the left leg straight and back. The right shoulder is going to be underneath, or right shoulder is going to be stacked over the right wrist, and we lift the left arm tall. So the right knee is down underneath the right hip. Take a couple breaths here. We're in balance. Notice how you approach. This is probably a new pose for a lot of us, so notice how you approach something new. We'll take that left hand down. We'll take the left knee down, so left knee's underneath the left hip. The right leg comes out from the hip. The left arm's underneath the left shoulder, and we reach the right arm tall. So here we are in a little balance and something that might be new. How are you approaching it? And is that the way that you want to be approaching it? So if you're getting really frustrated, if you're like, I can't see, I don't know what's going on, that's okay to notice, but maybe that's not how you want to start to try something new. And the better we get at noticing how we're doing things, the better we'll get at being the people we want to be in the world. Yeah? The right hand comes down, and then let's find our way back to our downward facing dog. On your next inhale, step your right foot where your right hand is. Back foot spins flat. Right knee stacked over right ankle. We'll find our way up to warrior one. So right hip is reaching back. Outer edge of your back foot is firmly planted down. Shoulders are melting down. Heart is lifting up. And then we'll watch ourselves in this pose. And I also invite us to watch ourselves in transition. That to me is one of the most telling places of how I move in between poses. So like, how do you move in between the moments of your life? Do you treat them as moments, or are you just like constantly just kind of flailing into the next thing? I'm saying this because this is something I do. All right, one more big inhale to lift here. And then exhale, take your hands down to frame that right foot. Find your way plank. to your downward facing dog. Let's really watch and notice ourselves getting into warrior one. So notice if you force, if you flail, if you're timid, whatever it is, just notice your pattern. So looking towards your left hand, step your left foot, back foot spins flat. Let's build it up. So we're pressing into the outer edge of the back foot. Left knee stacked over left ankle. Press down, rise yourself to your warrior one. Left hip is reaching back. Outer edge of back foot's pressing down. How are you doing inside this pose? How are you approaching it with your mind? How do you need to take care of yourself in this pose today? How does your intention inform the way that you're approaching and existing in this shape? Take one more inhale wherever you are. And then exhale, the hands come down to the earth. Find your way, plank, to your downward facing dog. So we'll take 5 breaths here. You can also always come into child's pose if that feels more like a rest. So we're going to come into 3 flows, connecting all those movements. So it'll be a lot of movement, 1 breath, 1 movement. As much as you can remember, and as much as I can remember, guide us through this practice. Just really notice yourself moving through a routine. So for a lot of us, we know this, we do this a lot. So we use it as an opportunity to show you your patterns. So here we are, looking towards the hands, step or jump your feet. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale to fold. Inhale, we sink the hips. 1 breath in chair. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come down, plank to downward facing dog on the same exhale. Inhale, right foot steps. Same inhale carries it up, warrior one. Exhale, hands come down, plank, same exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, the left foot steps, back foot spins flat, same inhale carries it up. Exhale, hands come down, plank to your downward facing dog. So what did you notice about that patterning, or maybe did you forget? So we're going to do it again 2 more times, noticing, watching ourselves. If you notice something from the last round and you want to do a little attitude adjustment or a little shift in your approach, here is a new opportunity to start again. Looking between your hands, step your feet. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sink your hips, chair pose. Exhale, fold yourself in half. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, hands come down, plank to your downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot steps, warrior one on the same inhale. Exhale, hands come down, plank to your downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot steps, back foot spins flat. Come on up, same inhale, warrior one. Exhale, hands come down, plank. Same exhale, downward facing dog. So 5 breaths, check in. How's the breath going? How's the body feeling? Listen to yourself here. So if you're like, whoa, I'm way tired today, maybe you sit this round out and you come into your child's pose. Or we'll come in for 1 more round of sun salutation. So here we are, getting ready to begin. Maybe remember your intention. Or maybe you just really watch yourself moving through space. Let your next exhale come out. And then next inhale, we'll step the feet. And we'll find our forward fold. Inhale, sink your hips, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Are you watching and witnessing your patterns? Inhale, halfway lift, heart reaches forward. Exhale, hands come down, plank, downward facing dog, same exhale. Inhale, right foot steps, same inhale carries you up, warrior one, back foot's flat. Exhale, hands come down, plank, to your downward facing dog. Inhale, the left foot steps, back foot spins flat, press down, rise tall. Exhale, hands come down, plank, to your downward facing dog. Let's all find our way to child's pose. So knees come wide as the mat. If you don't have a mat, wider than the hips. Sink your seat towards your heels. Find your way to child's pose, however the expression wants to express itself in the body. So here in our child's pose, little self-reflection. How you doing? How's the breath? How's the body feeling? Did you learn anything by watching the patterns of yourself in sun salutation? And if the answer is yes, maybe you apply that to our next sequence. If the answer is no, still getting curious in this next sequence. So option to stay and rest if this is feeling good, or we find our way back into our downward facing dog. So this time we're going to start with the left foot. We'll step the left foot in between the hands. Back foot spins flat. We're finding our way up to warrior two. So 3 to 4 feet between the legs. You might feel more comfortable if you let the left foot come up even more. So we want a big sink of the left hip and the left thigh. Arms come out from the shoulders, fingers spread wide. And we're going to flow in and out of this a few times, watching ourselves move through space. Let your exhale come out. And then inhale, extend your left leg straight, arms come up and overhead. And then exhale, warrior two. A couple more times. Inhale, arms extend up, left leg straightens. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, arms come up, left leg straightens. Exhale, warrior two. We'll stay here, find your breath. Shoulders melt away from your ears. And then on your next inhale, right arm comes down, left arm reaches up for a reverse warrior. See how much space you can find in your left side body. So can you find that kind of space that we tend to crunch into? Can you find a little opening there? And then keeping all that open, we're going to transition to place the left hand either on the left thigh, or if you feel ready for extended angle and you want to tap your palm, your fist, maybe put a book or a block underneath your left hand, you could do that. But see if you can still find that space in your left side ribs. Right arm reaches tall. How's your breath? Watching yourself in this pose, is there any adjustment that might need to happen from what you've learned about yourself in practice today? And then next inhale, we'll find our way back, warrior two. Extend your left leg straight. We're going to switch it to the back. So you'll be facing the back of your mat. Right knee sinks down, heel to arch alignment. So the arch of the back foot is in the heel of the front foot. Arms extend out from the shoulders. Hands are active here. Nice big sink of your right hip and your right thigh. Gazing over your right middle fingers. We'll let our exhale fall out. And then inhale, rise your arms tall, extend your right leg straight. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, extend up, right leg straight. Exhale, come back to warrior two. One more time like this. Inhale, lengthen, arms reach up tall to sky. Exhale back, warrior two. Settle into your breath again. And then next inhale, the left arm comes down, the right arm reaches tall. So this time we're finding some space in the right rib cage, the side of the right body. And then see if you can keep that space as you place either the right forearm down to the thigh or the right fist or palm, maybe even on a block, inside the right ankle. Left arm's reaching tall, heart's reaching for your left hand. How's your breath? How's your approach? How you doing in your breath? Next inhale, we'll find our way back up, warrior two. Extend your right leg straight. We'll take the toes to face in towards one another slightly. Heels are slightly out. Hands are on the hips. Lift your heart tall to the sky, and then with that space and length in your spine, start to fold over on your exhale. So the hands can stay at the hips. The hands can come down underneath your shoulders, or the hands can come outside to your ankles. So first option was hands on hips. Second option is hand under shoulders. Third option is hands on ankles. Let your head and your neck be soft wherever you are. Press into the outer edges of your feet. Put as much bend in your knees as your hamstrings are asking for. Take a full breath in and out of your nose. And then if your hands aren't underneath your shoulders, place them there. We'll heel toe the feet in a little bit, and then we'll sit into our Yogi Squat. So knees are wide. This time the heels are in and the toes are out. If this is really uncomfortable for your body, you could always come to sit up on something. So you might put like a big pillow underneath your seat. You could also come to sit on your bottom and take your ankles in a cross if it's just not the right pose for you. If the heels are up, you could stack, you could double up your yoga mat. You could put a blanket underneath your heels. So, or you're just on the mat if everything is going okay. So place your prayer together, lift your heart tall. And then find your own beautiful expression of this pose. So this pose doesn't have to look like mine to receive the benefits of it. So let your body breathe itself in your expression of Yogi Squat. See how high you can lift your heart and how much you can send your shoulders away from your ears. So we have a nice tall spine. Notice the pattern of your mind here. So how is the mind reacting to this? And maybe noticing as the witness how we want to support that patterning of our minds. So if it's painful and your mind is like, this isn't right, please listen to that. If the mind is witnessing the body in some discomfort, see if you can witness that. And then from here, we'll take the hands behind us, we'll come to a seat. And then we will come down to the back. So if you would like to engage your core a little bit, you might take your feet a little bit farther out from your seat, take your arms out from your shoulders, and then pulling the belly into the spine, rolling down onto your back. Or you can just come on down to your back. So we'll come in for a couple bridge poses, so heart opening. See if you can find your heels with your fingertips. So that's the proper alignment. We want to pull the heels in enough that we can touch the middle fingers to the heels. Knees are up, stacked over the ankles. And then from here, press down into your feet, especially your heels. Lift up with your thighs. Knees are going to pretend like they're shooting forward. And then we're either going to tuck the shoulders underneath us and interlace the hands, or grab the outsides of our mat and tuck the shoulders, or press firmly down into your forearms. Wherever you are, find length and space by pressing down to rise up. How is your breath here? How are you approaching this? Are you gripping your teeth? Are you waiting it to be over? Are you basking in it? See if you can stop the labeling and just notice and adjust to be more in the moment of the shape, to be in the benefits of the shape. One more inhale wherever you are, and then exhale, come on down, one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Take a full inhale for yourself, and a full exhale for yourself. We're going to come in one more time. If you're just kind of done and you'd rather be here and wait for us, please do that. Press down into your feet. If you're moving along with us, lift up with your thighs, knees point forward. Find your arm variation, so either tucking the shoulders, interlacing the hands, pressing firmly into the forearms, or grabbing, if you have a mat, the outside of the mat. Wherever you are, find space by lifting up out of the shape. Find breath. And then notice when I cue an exhale release, how you respond to that. See if you can make it more even. So on your next exhale, exit the pose. One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Take a full deep inhale. And let's all exhale through our mouth. Really nice, you guys. Take your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Knees fall in towards one another. Fallen bridge. And then let's hug the knees in towards the chest. Hands on tops of your kneecaps. Take your circles, so rolling out the low back by circling the knees with the hands on tops of the knees. And then we'll take the circles the other direction. We'll come in for happy baby, so grabbing maybe the outsides of the feet. If you can't reach the feet, if the low back comes way up, please place your hands maybe to the backs of your thighs, maybe on your calves. If you have the feet, think about pressing the feet up as you pull the feet down. We'll get into the hips a little bit here. Maybe you want to rock side to side. Maybe stillness is calling your name. Wherever you are, take 2 more full breath cycles. So really witnessing and watching yourself breathe in deeply and release breath deeply. Take in breath deeply. Release breath deeply. So we'll release out of happy baby. Find yourself into a comfortable position on your back. So that might be back to knees stacked over your heels. You might extend the legs out. Place your hands somewhere on your heart or your belly, or maybe a combo of one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. And see if you can use that gentle pressure of your hands to really ground yourself into the body. So really let yourself settle into some more of the restorative part of practice. And then we'll just connect with our hearts here. So just checking in with yourself. How are you after some movement and breath? And then go ahead and find a comfortable positioning of your hands. So maybe the hands out to the side. Maybe it feels really good to have the hand on the heart. We'll come in for 2 big rounds of breath together, and then we will rest in a couple minutes of Shavasana. So go ahead and let your exhale fall out. And then through your nose, inhale to your belly and pause. Through your nose, inhale to your heart and pause. Through your nose, inhale to the top of your head and pause. And then exhale, let the breath come out your mouth. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, breath to your belly and pause. Same inhale, breathe into your heart and pause. Same inhale, breathe into the top of the head and pause. And then from your mouth, long exhale out. Allow the breath to come back into the body as it wants. Notice yourself in space. Do a little scan of your physical form. See if there's anywhere where you might be holding or gripping. And maybe just by noticing, maybe something softens. So check in with the jaw, the shoulders, the hips, the feet, the hands. And then from here, we'll sink off into a couple minutes of Shavasana. So letting go of any kind of conscious thought, conscious breath. If you're one of those people that turns the video off right now, see if you can notice that. Maybe notice what that pattern's about, and maybe you choose to stay for these couple minutes. If you have to go, of course, go. But notice if you're speeding yourself along to the next task instead of giving yourself this transition from that task to task. So starting to take in some conscious breaths again. Noticing your physical form in its position. And then starting to make any small movements with your fingers and toes to wake yourself back up into your space. Maybe taking the arms up and overhead for a full body stretch. And then rolling over to your right side. And then whenever you feel ready, pressing yourself up with your left hand. Drawing your hands in a gesture of prayer at your heart, bow your chin into your chest. How did that go? How did that observation of yourself moving through space go? Without judgment, just how did it go? And maybe through this acknowledgement of how we're moving, we start to understand it on a more mental plane. So if this is interesting to you, maybe you start to notice your patterns this week. So notice kind of the things you do, how you do them, and if they're yielding the results that you are hoping for. So just a thought. I'm so glad you are here with us today at Grand Park. This is your Yoga Ala retreat. My name is Courtney. I'm so happy to be able to join like this since we can't join in the park. Namaste.